Good morning. My name is Jenny Turner, and this is the thought for the day for the 15th of July. I'm reading from the book of Esther, chapter 2, and this is the New International Version of the Bible. Later, when the anger of King Xerxes had subsided, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what he had agreed about her. Then the king's personal attendants proposed, "Let a search be made for beautiful young virgins for the king. Let the king appoint commissioners in every province of his realm to bring all these beautiful girls into a harem at the citadel of Susa. Let them be placed under the care of Hegai, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women, and let beauty treatments be given to them. Then let the girl who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti." This advice appealed to the king, and he followed it. Now, there was in the citadel of Susa a Jew of the tribe of Benjamin, named Mordecai, son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, who had been carried into exile from Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, among those taken captive with Jehoiakim, king of Judah. Mordecai had a cousin named Hadassah, who he had brought up because she had neither father nor mother. This girl, who was also known as Esther, was lovely in form and feature, and Mordecai had taken her as his own daughter when her father and mother died. When the king's order and edict had been proclaimed, many girls were brought to the citadel of Susa and put under the care of Hegai. Esther was also taken to the king's palace and entrusted to Hegai, who had charge of the harem. The girl pleased him and won his favour. Immediately he provided her with her beauty treatments and special food. He assigned to her 7 maids, selected from the king's palace, and moved her and her maidens into the best place in the harem. Esther had not revealed her nationality and family background, because Mordecai had forbidden her to do so. Every day he walked back and forth near the courtyard of the harem to find out how Esther was and what was happening to her. Before a girl's turn came to go to the king Xerxes, she had to complete 12 months of beauty treatments prescribed for the women, 6 months with oil of myrrh and 6 with perfume and cosmetics. And this is how she would go to the king. Anything she wanted was given to her to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. In the evening she would go there, and in the morning return to another part of the harem in the car of Shazazgaz, the king's eunuch, who was in charge of the concubines. She would not return to the king unless he was pleased with her and summoned her by name. When the turn came for Esther, the girl Mordecai had adopted, the daughter of his uncle Abihail, to go to the king, she asked for nothing other than what Hegai, the king's eunuch, who was in charge of the harem, suggested, and Esther won the favour of everyone who saw her. She was taken to King Xerxes in the royal residence in the 10th month, the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Now the king was attracted to Esther more than to any of the other women, and she won his favour and approval more than any of the other virgins. So he set a royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. And the king gave a great banquet, Esther's banquet, for all his nobles and officials. He proclaimed a holiday throughout the provinces and distributed gifts with royal liberality. When the virgins were assembled a second time, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. But Esther had kept secret her family background and nationality, just as Mordecai had told her to do, for she continued to follow Mordecai's instructions, as she had done when he was bringing her up. During the time Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, Bigthana and Teresh, 2 of the king's officers who guarded the doorway, became angry and conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. But Mordecai found out about the plot and told Queen Esther, who in turn reported it to the king, giving credit to Mordecai. And when the report was investigated and found to be true, the 2 officials were hanged on a gallows. All this was recorded in the book of the annals in the presence of the king. So this second chapter of Esther starts at the beginning of Esther's story. Famously beautiful, loyal and obedient, acting always within the constraints of the society she lived in, not stepping outside her role as niece, concubine, wife, or chattel. She averts the threat of ethnic cleansing of the exiled Jews living in Susa and elsewhere in King Xerxes' realm, and helps her uncle Mordecai become a trusted advisor to the king and a powerful government official. So here she is, a young girl sent by her guardian into a bizarre and dangerous talent show, where the best outcome is a life sentence in a gilded cage. The worst is confinement in a harem with no chance of marriage, love, or children. We know from the first chapter of the Book of Esther the court setting that Esther is sent to join. It is headed by King Xerxes, a monarch with absolute power over his subjects, vain, pleasure-loving, and impulsive. He is terrified of assassination attempts and fearful of losing face. He is manipulated by his advisor into banishing his beautiful queen, Vashti, when she refused his command for her to be paraded before his drunken guests at a male banquet. My natural sympathy goes out to Queen Vashti and her refusal to be treated as a mere possession, to be paraded before others as a status symbol of her husband's. But Esther's acceptance of her role is not incomprehensible, even now. In a modern world that contains human trafficking, sex slavery, and forced marriages, women are often forced to operate within a set of rules which really treat them as little more than objects. The writer of Esther's story gives us no mention of Esther's prayer, or any direct support or comfort she received from God. Perhaps there was no opportunity to ask her. However, sent as a young girl into a strange environment, unable to talk to anyone about her family or past life, I can only imagine her need to reach out and speak to God directly. Imagining myself in her position, I can only wonder what my prayers might be in such a circumstance. Would I seek reassurance that I was doing something important, to get reassurance that I wouldn't fail in this important task that I was set? Or might I also pray that I will be able to retain my identity, not to be changed by the extraordinary luxury I'm now surrounded with, or with the obsession with external beauty and the need to please that the harem engendered? I might feel that this last thing was something that Esther could well have prayed for she achieved this, and that she achieved this is clear from her relationship with all those in the palace and the affection and admiration she seems to have received universally. She evidently retained her kindness and sense of proportion. Perhaps when extraordinary things happen to us, the best thing we can pray for is to remain normal, to remember to treat people with kindness and courtesy, to retain our own humanity. I think without these gifts, without this answered prayer, Esther could not have succeeded in the mammoth challenge she was set. God bless. Amen.